On YouTube, there are several creators with either a Big Four background or an MBB background talking about their experiences. But very rarely you really can see a conversation where these two perspectives meet and you can really understand and discuss what the differences are between Big Four companies and MBB companies. This is exactly what this video is going to be all about. I partnered with KP, a consultant at a Big Four company, and we both answered the same questions about our experiences in consulting, and I trust that the comparison of these answers will really help you to understand what distinguishes MBB firms from Big Four firms. Welcome everybody to another coffee break here on my channel Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and on my channel I want to help you to be successful in the first years of your career. In this video I'm partnering with KP from the Management Consultant channel. I can highly recommend her channel. She has some super interesting videos on consulting and I will leave a link to her channel in the video description, so check it out. But now instead of me talking about KP, let's hear from her.
Thanks, Henry. My name is Kajol. I am a strategy and innovation consultant at Deloitte. I help my clients to create new products and services, and I also do have a YouTube channel on consulting, helping you get into consulting. Once you're in, how do you stand out? And also talking through some of the biases that we really do face in consulting. Really excited for this video and hopefully can help you understand if MBB or Big Four is for you.
And indeed, this video is one of two parts. So if you want to see the second part as well with other questions from both of our perspectives being answered, check out KP's channel in the video description to see more. But now without further ado, let's jump into the questions.
Big Four is made up of Deloitte, KPMG, EY and PwC. And in 2019, they made up over 40% of consulting revenue worldwide. Typically, they're much larger than MBB, they're a bit more global than MBB, but they also offer more services than MBB. Over the past few years, their consulting divisions have really branched out to buy smaller agencies to do supply chain consulting, innovation consulting, proposition design, brand and marketing, and so on. The other major difference is that MBB definitely do charge their clients a little bit more money, and that means you're typically going to get a higher salary at MBB versus the Big Four.
MBB refers to the leading three strategy consulting firms McKinsey, BCG and Bain. And strategy consulting firms is a bit misleading because these firms do not only do strategy, but probably the more correct term to call them would be top management consulting. The vast majority of their business is working together with the top management of large clients and trying to help them solve the problems and issues at the top of mind of the senior leaders of the top management of these companies. Most of these companies do not officially disclose their revenue figures, but as per the Wikipedia page, the latest estimate is that McKinsey does roughly $10 billion in revenue, BCG sits at around 8 billion and Bain sits around 5 billion. Regarding employees, McKinsey and BCG are more or less on a similar level at around 20,000, whereas Bain sits at about 10,000 employees globally. My perspective, of course, will be biased by my time at McKinsey, and of course there are also differences among these three firms. But overall, also from talking to friends who worked at these other companies at BCG or Bain, I do believe that they are quite similar in many ways, which is why you can consider my answers indicatively right for these other firms as well. For me personally, it wasn't a big factor. I did my undergrad in Munich at the University of Munich, and this is when I applied to McKinsey for an internship. And while being a good and renowned university for business in Germany, it's a large public university with thousands of students attending the business program every semester. But overall, yes, it is true that McKinsey likes to hire from the so-called target schools from these elite universities. I met lots and lots of people at McKinsey who studied at an US Ivy League or at Oxbridge or at the LSE or at any other of these very renowned universities. So for sure this will increase your chances of getting into MBB. And adding to that, there might also be differences in the offices, how this is perceived. For instance, in the US, the differences among the universities are much more salient compared to a country like Germany. So you can likely expect that in the US, the target schools are more important, more relevant than what they are in Germany. So overall, yes, it will help you, but by no means this is a hard requirement, and you can get successfully into MBB without studying at a target school.
So I studied at Imperial College London, and definitely the people who joined with me, they definitely came from a variety of different universities. Honestly, in the past, Big Four definitely did used to recruit from these elite schools that Henry's mentioned, like Oxbridge, Ivy League, and Imperial. But diversity is a big thing for Big Four firms today, and they hire from a variety of universities. What they've realized is that hiring from these universities brings different viewpoints to the table for their clients. Everyone has different experiences, different challenges and struggles in life, and they can go to a variety of different universities. Having a good uni can definitely help you get screened, okay? But it isn't everything. So they look at education, experiences, extracurricular activities, achievements, and skills. For anyone thinking that education plays a massive part in the recruitment process, I would say go onto LinkedIn, have a look at where people have studied at MBB and Big Four, and you'll realize that education isn't the end all.
Yes, up or out exists, and the underlying idea is that over time either you continue advancing to the next role, or at some point, if you fail to advance, you will be asked to leave the firm. Though it is not as brutal as it maybe sounds. And the reason is that there's a very transparent feedback process. At every point in time, you know where you stand in the process and in the evaluation. If for any reason your performance will be started to seen as problematic, there will be many iterations of feedback that people will give you. People will actively reach out to you to work together with you, to work on your weak points, to make sure that you meet the bar, that you meet the requirements for the next level, to really help you as much as possible to be successful in the firm. That being said, at every level there will be people who will be asked to leave the firm. If you start at an MBB company, you just need to be aware that these are the rules of the game, that this is how it works. This being said, if this is something that happens to you, the HR professionals will work together with you to find you a new job. Of course, MBB firms have a vast network and will work together with you to help you identify new job opportunities that suit your needs.
Yes, in many countries, Big Four definitely does have an up and out process. But in the UK, it's actually very difficult to get fired for poor performance. We have this ACES code of practice. By law, it basically says that you have to consistently show you're a bad performer for a firm to fire you. They also need to support you. So they need to give you a few chances and also put you on a supporting plan to show that they've tried to improve your performance. So the Big Four does have very transparent feedback processes, happens once every quarter where leadership get together to speak about you, to understand who needs support and identify how everyone's doing. That means it's also a very structured promotion process. So once every year in the junior levels, you can go for promotion, even early promotion, and you have a defined set of guidelines that you need to meet every grade for you to get promoted. So it's really clear if you want to go for promotion, you know exactly what you need to do.
Regarding the project setup, what probably distinguishes most MBB projects from Big Four projects is the team size and the type of topics that the consultants will work on. It is no secret that MBB fees are rather expensive, and for sure more expensive than your average Big Four firm. For these reasons, MBB teams are rather small and rather work on the most important, most pressing challenges that the company is facing. A typical MBB team size ranges from 2 to 4 consultants, including the project lead, and then 1 or 2 partners joining the team once or twice a week and then adding their value and their perspective as well. This means that from early on you are one of 2, 1 of 3 or 1 of 4 consultants, and of course by that you are a significant part of the team. The responsibility that you will get early on from your very first project will be significant. Due to the importance of the topics that MBB firms work with, you will work together with rather senior executives, often even with board members, and will learn to develop documents for this audience and present in front of them as well. This being said, MBB firms in the last years tried to expand the diversity of their projects in other directions as well, which is why today you can find projects in an MBB firm that now more closely resemble projects that you would also find in Big Four. Specifically, most MBB firms today also have different variations of implementation type of consulting services. This means that you do not only work on super strategic, super conceptual projects, but you also might find yourself in a position to really work on projects that are much closer to an implementation setting, that are really about execution and bringing ideas to life, often ideas that then prior teams before you develop with the client. So from this perspective, there for sure is an overlap regarding the types of projects and the team setup between MBB and Big Four, though still the typical MBB project will be different than the typical Big Four project.
Just like Henry's mentioned, MBB have definitely branched out to do implementation work, but Big Four definitely rule king when it comes to breadth of services. We acquire some really cool companies to strengthen our practices from strategy, technology, operations, supply chain, human capital, as well as brand, marketing, and innovation. If you're working on a strategy or brand project, you typically do work in smaller teams of 2 to 4. You'll end up having a partner who looks after the relationship with the client, a manager, and maybe an analyst or a consultant on that team. On operations and technology projects, they can be really small from 2 to 4, but they can be massive to 300. So you need to have a variety of leadership on there and work in smaller structures whereas still ensuring there's a big team. So typically they end up being in work streams and you have smaller teams within it, but those small teams end up being from 4 to 15 to even 20 sometimes.
Thank you for watching. I really hope that you took some value out of this video. And if you have any more questions, just leave me a comment below in the comment section and I will do my very best to answer every single one. Please, if you took any value out of this video, please destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also subscribe to my channel to see even more content like this. If you want to see even more from me, hit me up on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Firm Learning and I also have a mailing list with even more content. You can find a sign up link to that in the video description. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your time. I wish you the very best. Have a good evening. All the best to you and see you next Saturday.